Hello, good morning. I'm here. I'm here. Hey, Chuck and IG. How y'all doing? I'm just doing the Sunday stream. I'm gonna do a little topic and then I'll open up the panel. But first, let's look at the news. Um, Israel, Hezbollah, tropical storm Helene. Asheville. It's the mountains of North Carolina that are getting hit. I would not have predicted. Um, I guess that's about it. Iran is vowing revenge. Israel conducts airstrike on Yemen port. Um, but the real thing today that I want to go over is Twitter. The mountains are devastated. Oh, are you in North Carolina? Asheville was one of the places I looked at moving when I graduated college. Um, Asheville and Portland, for some reason. This was the '90s. Everybody was liberal. We wanted to find all the other cool liberals. And now, oh my God, what a relief. We were having a discussion in Discord just before coming here on men and men's mental health and DEI and all that stuff. And there was a Twitter thread today. Apparently, The Economist put out an article. The Economist published a brutal takedown of the woke movement this week. Wokeism isn't dead yet, but it's suffering a significant and much needed statistical decline. Let's look into that and see what that is. Because I checked the Washington State Department of Equity today, and it's still there. And those trainings are still there. And all the DEI stuff I've been going over in this channel, if I checked, would probably still be there. So let's see what a statistical decline is. I'm trying to find the article itself. Hang on. I don't know why people post a long Twitter thread about an article and not put the link to the article. It's just weird. Um, so now I have to go search for the article. Um, wow, all of their articles are political. I thought it was economics. Why is this? Well, anyway, just search for the article. You know what? I'm determined to find it. I can't do a breakdown of an article that I can't even find. America is becoming less woke. Here it is. There you go. Of course, it's behind a paywall. So this guy put this Twitter thread pulls some out of it. Um, God, I hate Twitter so much. I hate Facebook and Twitter so much. I think their user interfaces are the biggest piece of crap. How are these billion-dollar technology companies and the experience is so clunky and broken? Okay, hang on. Now I have to go find the thread again. This is so. I'm not having a good morning on the internet. All right, here we go. Okay, this guy says, contrary to what many people believe, 2021 represented the peak of wokeism, not the genesis. Well, then explain how Biden's equity order came out in 2021 and the rise and all of these equity programs, trainings, and strategic plans since then. How is something that how is a year before the thing existed that's causing all this DEI the peak of something? The woke movement gained much of its momentum in 2015 with, you guessed it, the announcement of Donald Trump's presidential campaign. I was there. I remember that. And I don't remember wokeness at all. I didn't even know what wokeness was until 2020. And I followed every minute of the Donald Trump presidency with a magnifying glass. I was glued to Twitter the entire time. I didn't see anything about wokeness or DEI. This article or thread is just wrong. The peak is evident across public opinion, the media, and higher education alike. So we're looking at two different things. I'm looking at the actual DEI stuff embedded in policy, and this guy's looking at public opinion polls, representations in media, and higher education. So his peak came in 2020, but the actual stuff that's getting into policy came after that. And that's the worst part of it all, not the public opinion stuff. The business world was slower to adopt wokeism, only doing so after the death of George Floyd, but it is also now jettisoning it. Yes, DEI really was a ZERP phenomena. What is ZERP? Zero interest rate phenomena. Is that metaphorical? What is that? A stretch of time throughout the pandemic in which the Federal Reserve set interest rates around zero. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. They're tying DEI to that too. So they're saying after 2020, I guess at the same time as this Biden equity order, the businesses start to adopt it. But we saw that Microsoft just got rid of their DEI department. I think Google did a bunch of layoffs. Now, I wish the government would do the same thing. I'm sure Kamala will get that taken care of. The percent of people worried a great deal about race relations declined from 48% in 2021 to 35% today. I agree with that. I think the DEI itself is out of step with the general public. I think most people can see this for the nonsense that it is. So that's why the polls are like they are. But that doesn't mean it's gone, because it is still very much in policy and will continue under the right administration. Kids and even some leftists, that's funny how they're compared it with kids, are tired of wokeism. Some of the biggest leaps and subsequent declines in woke thinking have been among young people and those on the left. I've heard that before anecdotally from people that have really young kids, or have friends or family with really young kids. They're reporting that those kids are not, this is not making sense to any of them. The simplest way to measure the spread of woke views is through polling. And then they give polling statistics. People aren't burned out on just the racial aspects of wokeness. Opposition to trans athletes playing competitive sports outside of their biological sex has increased from 53 to 61 over the last 2 years. The Me Too movement is also apparently running out of steam. If this is a female thing, and it's more of a fashion trend, I know things do, for women, they don't ever stay on one thing for too long. So it does go in and out of style. Even the mainstream media is finally realizing that people are tired of woke indoctrination. Newspapers are using terms like intersectionality and microaggression less often. In the New York Times, white privilege went from being published 2.5 times per 1 million words to just 0.4 times. The same decline in woke speak is also seen in academic papers. Given how much of the media and online discourse is downstream of academia, this is hopefully an additional leading indicator that wokeism will continue its downward trajectory. He's not looking at the stuff I would look at to see if wokeness is declining. Speaking of universities, calls for professors to be fired for expressing unpopular beliefs also peaked in 2021 and is now on the decline. Perhaps most important for regular Americans, wokeism is declining in the workplace, not in Washington state. Mentions of DEI in earnings calls is only 3 times compared to before the death of George Floyd, compared to 14 times in the near aftermath. DEI exec roles are also rapidly disappearing. Again, ZERP. Like now that the interest rate is not zero, this was like a luxury at the time. Companies are terrified of the backlash and boycotts that Budweiser and Target recently faced. Lastly, the summary of wokeism coming from a mainstream center left business publication is absolutely brutal. This is from The Economist. This wokeness defines people as members of groups in a rigid hierarchy of victims and oppressors. Like the Puritans of old, adherents focus less on workable ideas for reducing discrimination than on publicly rooting out sinful attitudes in themselves and others, especially others. This is brilliant. If this is if The Economist is a center left publication, then this is like the strongest statement against DEI I've seen from anything on the left, outside of like Bill Maher or something like that. He's right. This is very strong. This is the stuff I've been saying. I've even tied it to the Puritans before and the Calvinists. Here, I will show this one. I think it's worth seeing. There we go. A form of wokeness has risen on the illiberal left, which is characterized by extreme pessimism about America. So I'm not the only one noticing. Stop gaslighting. A whole magazine full of journalists to see it. Its capacity to make progress, especially on race. We've made progress. It's never been better. Go tell me what time in history black people would prefer to live in. Go tell me. According to this view, all the country's problems are systemic or structural, and the solutions to them are illiberal, including censorship and positive discrimination by race. This wokeness defines people as members of groups in a rigid hierarchy of victims and oppressors, like the Puritans and Calvinists of old. Adherents focus less on workable ideas for reducing discrimination than on publicly rooting out sinful attitudes in themselves and others, especially others, just like the Karens that they are. All right, let's see comments. I hate Twitter. I love X. Low in openness. I would reverse it. I would say we're high in openness and low in conscientiousness. We'd have less drama if I were higher in conscientiousness. All right, let me get the link in here and get this panel hopping. Yeah, I don't think I think D. I'm still voting against Kamala. This does not make me feel all of a sudden like Kamala and Tim Walz and Hillary Clinton and that Stacy, what's her name, Plackett lady we looked at, is going to stop their authoritarian overreach. But I will take this as a slight little, like I said, I haven't heard anything like this from the left yet. I don't know how much weight The Economist carries. All right, there goes. Oh, hang on. Did I put the link? I thought I did. Bex, if a panel doesn't form, like in the next half hour or so, maybe we can go finish that show. Okay, a panel has formed. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm all right. My thing was a joke that the link to the open panel wasn't there, so it scored low in openness by default. That's all. That was just a clever way of me pointing
Oh,
that out.
that the I
Yeah,
see what you're saying.
yeah.
Yeah, when I do a topic, I hold the link for so they won't have to sit backstage and listen to me yak.
There we go.
All of these non-amigos here today, welcome. Nice to see
Hmm.
you all, including Mr. Accord himself.
That's right. I ain't nobody's amigo.
No, but there are no there are panel friends, and I think in a way this is true in great wisdom that there are no friends here on YouTube. Don't get one thing I've learned from doing this work is that people are going to come and go. You're going to get very close to people. You're going to get very attached. You're going to think you have friends, and they're going to evaporate like that. And it's just going to happen.
Yeah, like I disappeared suddenly.
You did. You did.
Hmm.
I thought
Then
you
I
had
came back.
crawled off into obscurity and like, well, that's that for the IDW.
Yep. And that's still that for the IDW, but just not for me.
I guess I'm glad then that you were more than just the IDW.
Yeah, I'm glad I was that too, because that sure would have been the hell of a way to go out.
Yeah.
It's
We
like,
are,
fuck it. Do you have a
Chuck.
pulse?
Come up and quit being a drama queen. I was addressing it to my non amigos. You're our elder. You're more than just a friend. Bex, are you trying to come up? If not, you know who is backstage trying to imitate you. Yeah, let's get him out of here.
Who would be trying to imitate Bex?
Oh, no, it's drama. I don't even want to bring it up.
Okay, good idea.
Past trolls.
Trying to imitate one of the girls, a clever move.
Well, they got me one day. There was huge drama. I was doing an all male panel, my first all male panel.
Ah.
And one of the trolls came backstage and they had copied the profile and name of a friend that was a woman. And I just assumed it was that person trying to come on an all male panel. And so I'm on stream explaining to this person that it's an all male panel. And this troll is in the private chat saying, Jeff, I can't believe you would have an all male panel. I can't believe you're sexist to women. I'm so disappointed in you, blah, blah. And I really thought it was this person. So I started addressing them on stream and as if it was this person saying it. And it caused a whole bunch of drama. This person went and made really hateful videos about me afterwards. And it kind of split the community for a while. And it was all because of this one troll impersonating somebody.
Oh wow. That is something
Like
else.
this troll is doing right now with Bex that keeps coming. Oh, it is you. Sorry. I just come back. Come back.
Oh no, poor Bex.
It the account name threw me. Yeah,
When
we
your
need Bex up here. She's an expert on this.
when your own immune system works against you.
All right. I'm still going to use I trust her, but I'm still going to use an overlay. And we've been watching the mole together, so she'll appreciate my caution. Hey.
Yes, I do appreciate your caution. And
Oh,
better
it's so
safe than
good to hear
sorry.
your voice.
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
real
yeah.
voice.
And I wasn't using my Jeff specific avatar, so it's sensible that you might have assumed it wasn't me.
Oh, right. We're going to start needing secret codes
Yeah,
and
this is my Jeff.
avatars and
This is my Gen
hand
X Jeff.
signals.
Exactly. My Gen X Jeff specific avatar with my golden antlers. My blonde hair.
Your long,
I'm not.
luxurious blonde hair. Or your
Yeah,
sharp.
which
And your
I actually have.
furs.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Which just in case people think I'm trying to catfish, I do not look like this avatar, and I'm aware that I don't look like this avatar, nor do I want to look like this avatar, even though she's very pretty.
She is.
Yes.
And for all practical purposes, for many people, you are still that avatar.
Thank you. Thank you. Because the other avatar that I was using was this one. Where did it go? Just a second. This is the first one I came up on, and I haven't used it very many places because
Oh, let
that's
me see.
Frau Beck's.
Oh, look, hang on. I need to feature her.
That's
Oh, I
actually
like that one.
Fraulein. That's
Yeah,
Fraulein
she
Beck's
looks
back there.
Fraulein.
Yes. Not to assume that Germans only have one eye, okay? Nor am I trying to convey anything anti-Germanic
I
in
know.
this.
I complain about the Karens all the time, but I forgot about the Frauleins. Good thing we don't have those here, except maybe in some Catholic schools dressed as nuns.
Exactly. Well,
Exactly.
thanks for having me. Nice to see you.
Yeah, thanks for
And
coming. What's up?
not much, not much. I just thought I'd pop up. It had been a while
Yeah,
since I had, so
we were talking about trolls and wokeness and YouTube and whatever else you want to talk about.
excellent. I don't know much about YouTube trolls. I haven't experienced much trolling myself, nor am I aware of anything that might look like trolling behavior from myself. Nor am I trolling
I
YouTube with
think
these
we have
statements.
another candidate for super troll, master troll.
There's a particular person associated with zebras out there, though, that
He's the
put out a
last person. That he's
he
such a
put out
low.
a well,
He
yeah, he
put
put
out a
out
what?
a video recently that I couldn't help but just take a peek on. And I, for instance, put a comment. I did delete it after because I think I have him blocked. But that just simply said "Q nonsense." I've decided that I will leave the panelverse if the majority of people in this panelverse are QAnoners, hiding
Oh,
QAnoners. I want out. Um,
were you a
I don't want to
QAnoner?
hang. I was not a QAnoner, although I was by proxy caught up in some of that brainwashing, like, so, no, I wasn't like looking into decoding Q drops but if you followed people a couple of years ago that were reporting on the trafficking and stuff like that, then you likely were following someone who was, but, invested
Oh,
in
because it
that.
intersected with that.
Exactly. Not that I'm saying that people shouldn't have a problem with any kind
Is
of,
that where all the pedo stuff comes from here? Like that seems to be
it's
the.
where, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but that video had the full on, pictures of Trump with the JFK Jr. People believe that JFK Jr. faked his own death and he's going to come back and be the last president and, and save the world. And all these executions are going on and all these people, except for Trump or whatever, they
Ghost
all consume.
stories.
Yeah, it's boogeyman stories. And until somebody actually consumes this
Grown men
substance, yeah,
not telling ghost stories
yeah,
themselves.
exactly. And so I'm going to keep it above board for your monetized channel and simply say until people harvest and consume this product in front of me, I won't believe that it exists. And since I don't want to watch that, yeah, I'm not going to watch that anyway, because that's just sick unto itself. And if you're unaware of what I'm referring to, Jeff, that's good,
I
because that
am.
means you're not good.
I am. And I
'Cause,
would
yeah,
like to keep this monetized. So.
exactly. So I'm just saying
Hey, fools and
it's
tools,
crazy.
welcome.
So
Okay, well, that helps me get a little more context for what I'm seeing in the panelverse, if that's
yeah.
the sector of society it bubbled up from.
Mm.
Because, yes,
Do
Pizzagate was a little crazy.
Well, yeah. And that's where I would say you could take it even one step further. I don't know how long this Q drop stuff was going on. Like, I only during quarantine and beyond, somewhere in there, heard of it, So I don't know how far back it goes. I heard it went back, years actually.
It was because I was following. It was part of the. It showed up in the RussiaGate Trump stuff, and so I was following it peripherally for a few years before 2020.
Well, yeah, and I had heard that some of the protests, the yellow jacket protests in France and something were way back when, some sort of labor protest or something, yellow jacket protest, that it had something to do with that propaganda as well. But I would say that Chuck's nailed it on the head, that that's probably where it began.
With Pizzagate?
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was where it became mainstream.
2016.
Joe saying it would be a great name for a pizza place. Imagine opening up a pizza place now called that.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
I mean, I could just totally imagine people saying, "Let's go to Pizzagate." I could even see like there's like a guy at a gate like holding a pizza over it,
It'd be like opening up a water company and calling it Watergate.
Yeah, I could see Richard Nixon standing over a gate,
Yeah,
holding a pitcher of water and some glasses.
right next
Speaking
to the
of,
Evian water,
yeah,
you know?
They could have a Nixon mascot, and he'd be like, "We're freezing our prices."
oh,
Oh, that's funny.
well,
Oh, that's good.
speaking of water, I'm gonna get some more coffee. Coffee
Okay.
Gate. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Beangate.
So trolls, eh? We were talking about trolls and
Trolls and the drama in the panelverse and stuff like that, and it's amazing to me how cautious Jeff has to be, having only like kind of come back into seeing what Jeff's doing for like a week now, and how
Mhm.
much that is just a regular concern.
Yeah.
Um, that um, like people seem to spend so much time in their daily lives, um, like dealing with the drama or like stirring it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, but they were doing that on AOL back in the late '90s. Like that's always been a part of the internet. This is just the new iteration of it.
I'm trying to figure out sort of how much the prankster, like if we could call it a characteristic of humanity to be a bit of a prankster,
The
you
trickster.
know, the trickster, how many people, want to manifest that side of themselves. Sarcasm would be a good example of, you know,
And and
uh,
and there's like playful trolling or
I mean, I do
um,
that a bit in the chat and stuff.
yeah, that kind of stuff. But this is malicious. Like this, there's a sadism behind this, and it comes from a very dark place in the psyche. It's there's
yes.
some trolling that I think can actually bond a community and help build it and make it better. This is not that type of trolling.
Yeah, I try to do trolling that kind of has a tail that I translated directly means I want to be your friend, and I don't see that a lot really with most folks.
Well, there is the phenomena called friend trolling,
Mm-hmm.
where they actually try to simulate a friendship, a genuine friendship with you, but in the whole time they're coordinating behind the scenes with trolls as part of some larger troll plot.
I actually had something like that get done to me one time. I got like invited to a server by someone who said they remembered me from something, and then like people were acting normal around me in like the voice chat for like half an hour, and then I got up, left the voice chat, got up to take a shower. When I was back at my computer, they had kicked me from the server. It was so strange.
Do you know why they kicked you?
No, I think they were just trying to troll me. It's the only explanation I
What
have.
was it? Because you weren't there? Maybe they were like saying, "Joe, are you there? Are you there? Are you there? Oh, I guess he's not there. Let's take him out of the
No,
room."
I told them I was leaving.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so it's like,
Oh, you told you were leaving, and like you'd come back and just let you sit.
yeah, it's just I think it was just on the troll, especially because like um immediately afterward as well, like some of the people sent me these friend requests and then just started messaging me like a bunch of nonsense, and I'm like, what is going on here? And when that happened, I realized, wait, this whole thing was just one troll, and I'm like, this is strange.
Yeah, they do. There's people that work in groups and they coordinate and they get the same entertainment value out of the same thing. So they like deliberately try to instigate or manufacture that kind of entertainment for themselves.
Yeah, I think they were thinking they might get more of a rise out of me than they did. But um the only rise they really got out of me was my pure confusion at what had happened. And um uh but yeah, it was like it's I've just noticed that there's a lot of Discord servers that devote a lot of their time towards just stirring things up with folks. That's a big part of what Discord is.
You stirring up folks.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of goes with the name,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Discord is the
Yeah.
opposite of accord when you think about it.
Yeah.
I think it is. I've said this before. This is a lot, people with no lives and way too much time and nothing to do. And probably like, because a lot of people I talk to, this started around COVID for them, including myself.
Well, and what I've learned through, especially having, a handful of friends sort of behind the scenes, that we can laugh about some of these things and, and still liken things to our experiences online. Where was I going with that? That it's inside jokes. We really, as human beings, this inside joke stuff, even if it's at someone's expense. I was saying to someone, there's a person who comes in chat in some rooms, and they have specific characteristics. They don't say much, like send me link, or clam down. So I said to my friend the other day, clam down. We laughed for like 5 minutes, and as we did this behind the scenes, I thought, this is why we get so caught up in being with each other online. There's something about this inside joke stuff that can be made so fast. You're bonded with a sense of
It's that
community.
in-group
Yeah.
feeling, and it
I actually
releases
think
all
a
this
failure to
chemical.
do that is like a sign of some of the woke stuff you were talking about earlier, Jeff, when you're talking with Nathan. Is like when you try to do that, like to share that kind of humor with, say, a colleague, that they will take it a different way. Or somebody who's not part of the interaction will overhear it and just be offended for somebody, maybe even somebody that doesn't exist, and
Right.
report it, kind of thing.
Yes, that happens. It's been happening since 2020. It happened in my groups,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to get rid of those people. They would stop the conversation on behalf of some imaginary person that might walk in and hear us. And
Mm-hmm.
so if we were
Yeah.
talking about Christmas carols, oh guys, we shouldn't talk about this. What if a Muslim happened to come in and hear us? They might be offended. It wasn't about anything going on in the moment with any of the people there. It was some imaginary person that might hear it in the future.
Crazy, just crazy to me.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
brand. I want to develop a way where we can like vet the people who are not trolls, and then give them some kind of brand or badge or something. Like these are certified, trustworthy people. They're not trolls. They're genuine. They're not here to do bits or anything. I wish there were a way to like have a white list of the non-trolls. I think that would have value.
What?
I think everybody, I think everybody has a bit of troll in them if we think that, you can, how would I put it? Because back in the day, trolling was really pretending to be something you're not, like completely putting on an act for the sake
Yeah.
of reaction. Whereas now what I would say is you can predictably expect half the group to behave a certain way. And if you make that comment, they will react. And ergo, you are trolling a group of people. Like me saying the word QAnon could make half the panelverse be like, she doesn't believe that anyone's doing this awful thing that we all believe that people are doing, and because of their because they can virtue signal, which is virtue signaling is such a general term for something that I think people need to understand. They express false piety, right? People are expressing false piety. They are expressing sanctimony. It's over the top. It's hubris
It's
to virtue
purity.
signal and not be virtuous. So if you want to scream at the top of your lungs to make me think that, and berate me to uplift some children that aren't even here yet, you are harming someone. I'm just using me as an example, but people will literally, people could virtue signal for 1,000 children that aren't even here and harm one person who is, and I know they're not a child, but they once were. So it's just really strange to me that people can, it's kind of like listening to people online talk about the perfect family unit. Meanwhile, none of them have children. None of them are seeking relationships, right? They don't realize that actually
That is a
expressing
great
that,
point.
yeah, expressing that nullifies gay men who don't want children, people who have no sex drive, people who don't want to couple up for no reason at all. You know, the idea that we should enforce some heterosexual model on the entire world, you know, is regressing,
But
right? So,
nobody's
and then
doing that
in
anymore.
discussion, they're not, yeah, but in discussions, in theory, there are, you know, there are people online that, you know, want to talk about the perfect, the perfect how women should be and
Well,
how men should be, like we're all painted with a broad brush, you know.
yeah,
And
I think Bex is onto something. So it's something I noticed about how you know, there's a lot of frustration that straight men feel about dating because they get so many conflicting messages and mixed signals about what's appropriate. And, you know, so like a classic example is, you know, don't come up to us in coffee shops or in grocery store lines or in the park. And then, you know, next week it's, why don't men approach us anymore? Right. And that's, you know, kind of assuming that all the same women complaining about being approached are the ones who then complain about not being approached later on. But um, there is, you know, potentially, you know, some overlap between the two. But to what you were saying, Bex, about how people who don't seem to know anything about this stuff, or it's just basically people who seem to be chronically depressed, have nothing but bad relationships with other people, want to say what are socially acceptable norms for interacting with folks, I've noticed. And like people who cannot find romantic happiness, for example, often say, oh, it's they want to. I guess I talk about a lot of woke people here, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of woke people seem to know what the right social boundaries are, but I always hear how much anxiety they have, how much distress they have in their personal lives. They're always going to therapy. Something about the way that they choose to live does not seem to be making them happy.
Yeah, they have the highest mental health rate. Liberal white women have the highest
Yeah,
mental health
and
rates.
one thing I have noticed is like when I listen to people who are like, let's say, happily married and have been so for a long time, and you know, when I hear about how they met, it's like the guy like asked her out at work. He asked her out while she was ringing him up at the store. And to that, so many people that would be like inappropriate now. But it's just sort of like, well, who do I want to listen to? Do I want to
That they're
listen to?
both adults. Why is anybody's
Yeah.
business?
Well, that's the thing I've noticed too. So it's an interesting thing when you say they're both adults because that's what I've always heard from liberals in favor of the gay rights movement, right? Like why gay marriage should be okay, and certainly why, for example, sodomy should not be criminalized because why can't
No, it
two
should
adults do
not.
what they want to do? But when it's, you know, men hitting on women, um, I've often found that's considered controversial and inappropriate, and the whole what it's two adults, you know, agreeing to do whatever or
Yeah.
politely disagreeing goes out the window. I found kind of like you were saying in the Discord, it's just a lot of misandry. They don't believe in um like they don't actually believe in the as a value. Let two adults do what they want. They say that, but they don't actually believe that as a core value. They only say it to get a certain agenda through, and then they abandon it when it's a different agenda. Um, like the logically consistent thing is like for what has been argued for the gay rights movement is to just apply it to straight people, and a lot of people are really bad at that.
Well, there was
Shameless is
always a
saying,
faction of the gay move that didn't want marriage in the first place because they saw it as selling out to heteronormativity, and that is the movement. Now that we have marriage, we're not out there fighting anymore. So that's the faction that now dominates the movement.
so Shameless pointed something out, and this is something that
This one.
is also that a lot of men discuss together. Women want men who they're attracted to come up to them, and men they're not attracted to stay away. I know it's dumb. We want you to read our minds. And yeah, that's a thing that gets discussed as well. It's so the women are saying men stop approaching us like on social media and whatever. A lot of them liberal women, a lot of them woke women who have kind of really moved the
Who would
culture. Because
approach them in the first place?
uh, depends.
Uh,
But when they are saying
cross the
that, when they're
street.
like saying this is a social norm, what they mean is we want men that we don't like not to approach us, but we still want the men that we do like to approach us, and we want you guys magically to know who you are.
Yes, because they use vibe epistemology, so they think we have that same ability. We can just vibe sense.
Yeah, but for men, it's the problem with men is women act exactly the same to us when they don't like us and when they do like us, right? They'll be friendly to placate us if they don't like us, and then they'll be friendly when they like us. And they do not differentiate between their behavior, and then it's extremely confusing for us
The friend
because
zone.
It can be just as confusing too, though, I would say, when I was younger and receiving attention, or even now, like I'm very careful not to shame somebody who's trying to express their need for companionship, right? Especially now that I'm over 50. I was recently at a place where I had breakfast. I met someone that I've met a few times. We exchanged numbers because he asked if I could help him move pick up a coffee table, and that may have been a social cue to ask for my phone number, but I take what you say at face value. So later that night, he called me and said he was in the shower and wanted me to come over and scrub his back. Right. Like, and I know that that's like, that's a segue into, to show that he asked for my number for more than just picking up this table. But my instinct was to think, oh God, does it never end? Like, and I don't mean to sound rude because, it's not like I get advanced on a lot, but to me, I do care more not to hurt that man's feelings for expressing his desire for me than saying to him, dude, if you wanted to take me out, you should have just put that on the table. Cause I also know that he's coming from a confused place. Right. So I totally pick up what you're saying because, my instinct was to be like, come on, like I'm way past breeding years. Like, if he wasn't
I would
putting
have
out the
told him that.
signal, like and I'm not trying to be rude because the last thing I want to do is to shame a man who's asking, politely and sweetly, like in a polite way, like come over, scrub my back. Like, and not that I care. He could be standing there saying, suck my what, like I'm just saying, like it's a man expressing his desires to a woman. And the last thing I want to do is shut him down, but I also didn't lead him on, so my nature was to kind of laugh and giggle. But to be honest, I felt my instinct was to say to him, does it never fucking end, Gabe? Right?
Did
When
you
does it
feel
end?
objectified?
Well, I felt flattered, but I also thought like it would have been, in our 50s, it would have been easy for him to say, hey, in a more flirtatious way, or, hey, I want to, can I get, will you help me do this? And then once I give him the number, be like, I'm going to call you for something else too, and wander off, but I can't tell people how to be. So I can see why that would be confusing. I think as a woman who never really saw herself as taking the feminist Kool-Aid, but also knows that influence affected us all, and have learned about that a lot online. It is really hard to express your opinion, especially online, when people see you as a woman and as a feminist, no matter what comes out of your mouth. So, I'm influenced by all of that. And the last thing I want to do, even at my age, is hurt a man's feelings when he asks, like, will you come join me in a shower? It's harmless. It's on the phone. He's just asking, but being nice, my being nice was not as direct as what I wanted to say to him, so I pick up what you're saying, Joe. And I think that it does come from a good place. Some of these things, the way women react to men, they don't mean to lead a man on, but they don't want to hurt him either,
Yeah. Well, there's another part to this too that's extremely frustrating, which is that this isn't just a problem in the context of women that we might want to date, but even just if there's women we want to be friends, especially if like we're taking seriously what a lot of us heard growing up, which is that feminism treat women the same as you would men. If you offer to let's just say hang out with women in the same way that you would men, and that's specifically what you ask, you are usually not believed. Pretty much anything suggested by you to a woman, if you're a guy, is seen as asking the man on a date, whether or not you use the word date or not. Even if there's no difference between if you ask a guy to do the same thing, right?
So are you saying Are you
Just get
saying
you a
that?
gay.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to meet women.
Would
I'm
you say
serious.
then
Like,
Get a gay friend. That's it.
I'll
That's
do
the
it for
answer.
the right super chat.
that?
So I mean, basically, it's like what a lot of us have learned is just like it's just pointless to try and befriend women that will say are our age or younger because they are always going to interpret it as coming onto them and be put off by it if they don't find us attractive. It's almost without exception it goes that way. And
Do
really,
you think that?
Mhm.
Sorry, go ahead. I interrupted.
I would say, yeah. I mean, really, that's just sort of how it's become. It's where like if I like being nice to people. I like doing friendly things for people, and I have to basically stop myself and say, Joe, you can only really show the side of yourself toward other men because you're going to continue to get negative feedback from women, even if your impulse is to be more equal about it.
Yeah. Do you think though that it's the impulse of women to not hurt people that makes it look like it's it's placating or friend zoning
They are
or
supposedly
you
highly
know?
I
agreeableness.
think
So
women, I mean, are also have been pretty frank that they, find men scary, and so I think the placating isn't not to hurt men, but not to provoke men into a rage where they get strangled to death or something like that.
yeah, which is just
Because
interesting for me because I'm not a big woman. I know people like to think I am online. I'm not nearly as heavy as people think. Not that I care. I'm not defending that. Think what you want. But I'm not even 5'5". I'm not, you know what I mean? I would be easily overpowered. Even with the bit of extra weight I carry on my body. And I've never walked around, like if I'm walking at night and there's a man behind me, I'm more apt to turn around and smile at him so he knows that I'm not scared of him than I would ever be to put keys between my fingers to walk in a parkade. So a lot of that is people being presented with the idea these women are women who have socialized as little as the men that are concerned to, you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they've ever actually been put in a situation with a violent man. They just think that that's the nature of men. Because I know I've never been, I don't mean to sound rude, but I've never been scared of angry, violent men. I've never been scared. I've seen men get angry. I've made men angry,
I
but
get
I
more
don't
nervous
walk
around
around
women.
with a general sense of men are dangerous,
We are
But
dangerous, but not that dangerous.
well, yeah, and then I wanted to say one other thing. I think the thing about painting with a broad brush, I know in conversations it can be helpful to just approach things in a less personal manner, but I think too many people don't realize like you only need to find one, right? Like, or five if you want four on the side. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't really care. I'm not trying to preach monogamy, but if you want a woman, or if a woman wants a man, or if a person wants a partner, ideally you just need that one to get you. The rest don't fucking matter, right? So it doesn't really matter what 99% of women are doing if they're displaying something that you don't want in a woman anyway. You just need to find the one, right?
well, in some ways it
So
does matter because a lot of women, again, if you approach them or they just think you're approaching them, again, you may not actually be hitting on them. And they are off put by it. Like they're not
Yeah.
it's not simply no means no for them. It's no, and how dare you even try to ask me out, you creep. And then they'll tell other women that they know. And they will, I mean, there's not every woman does this, but there is potential for them to try to ruin your reputation. That man came up to me
Well,
and he made me uncomfortable. And
they
yeah,
start
that's the
fights
thing.
like that too.
That's part of rejection, right? So rejection
yeah,
isn't just a simple no, but there's this scorched earth campaign that they will do after the moment happens. You can politely walk away, and they will still do this.
yeah,
And so men know this. This is why men get nervous because if they fail with one woman, they could fail with 10 women. So and maybe the one woman who might actually like them could be a casualty in that they don't get to
yeah.
maybe have an opportunity with. So
I was at a
men who are paying attention learn that they have to be very careful over time.
Well,
I was at a
yes, and
concert and I walked up to this girl because she was like white trash in her mid 40s or whatever, and like just dance. She
It's
was
hot.
dancing and enjoying the concert, And I just said to her, I go, "Hey, cool, like Black Sabbath or whatever the hell it was," and And she immediately gets angry at me and says, "I have a boyfriend," and blah blah blah. And it's like, I wasn't hitting on you, you piece of shit. I was just trying to be friendly. But that's how it goes sometimes. Like, you can't be friendly to some women because they think you're hitting on them.
I'll leave them alone. I have that here in Seattle. I never had to do that with women before moving up here, and now I just leave women alone up here. I don't even try to talk to them.
Yeah, and
No, I don't
listen, like
either. It's like
I hate
fucking
this. I hate this. I hate the idea that I have to turn off the nice part of me sometimes just because I'm hedging for women. It is a pretty shitty way to live. I'd rather just be pleasant more often, put more goodness into the world. That I have had to learn to turn this off is disappointing for me.
I don't turn
Well,
mine off.
yeah, I
Lanza, come
appreciate that.
back if you're there.
I'm just who I am all the time. Fuck everybody if they don't like it, because
Yeah, that's
I'm
so
old
much.
enough
That's
now.
so Gen X.
No, I'm old enough now to realize that it doesn't matter what other people think.
Really
They can think
doesn't.
what they want, and they do anyway. It doesn't
I've
matter what
always been able to find plenty of people that do like it, so I've
Yeah.
never had to like shape myself to one particular person just because they don't like me.
people
I
either like me or they don't. Like my friend told me yesterday, he said, "I can see why you get in fights in bars a lot, because the way you talk, you make jokes that are, people take the wrong way. They think you're being serious, and you're not. You're fucking around, and that's true. Like I'm making the joke, the worst thing you could possibly say, but I'm kidding, and they don't think I'm kidding, I guess.
Women's rights, you're absolutely correct, and I talked about this in an earlier comment. It's not the emotionality; it's the emotionality without any kind of rationality to accompany it, to kind of like serve as a check and help process and redirect. So when it's just raw emotion and the absence of rationality, that's when I get nervous. As long as there's reason there, emotions don't. I don't care what emotions somebody's having if I know that they're reasonable or capable of it.
I
Yeah, and I will point
appreciate
out. Oh yeah.
I appreciate, Joe, you expressing that that sort of groupthink mentality of shaming a guy for for hitting on a girl. Let's just say, I imagine in high school, right? Let's just pick the sort of outcast of the group, and he's decided to ask a girl out, and she gets power by telling everyone, "Oh, so and so asked me out." Right? That continues on
Mhm.
to university, continues on in the workforce, until you get a little bit older. I would say that that's definitely, that's how I was perceiving it. And then I realized that there's an entire generation, 2 generations behind me, that have grown up with the internet, right? And the capability of people to take that to the next level. So it's not just 7 or 10 girls laughing that some geek asked the most popular girl out, and they think that that's, they're above it or whatever. It's actually becomes what could be really really harmful to someone because of the ability to have a huge audience see this. And instead of shaming the woman or the girl for doing that, you still have this group think like, I can't believe that geek asked that pretty girl out. So, I do appreciate that, because I've been really good at learning sort of to shed away the feminism that I didn't realize I'd taken on. But it's hard to step in the shoes of the younger generation sometimes and really comprehend how that can affect, and what those girls make all women look like by doing that, so instead of having people in chat be like, rah rah, kudos to him for being courageous, and you're a bitch for thinking you can gain clout by knocking a guy for simply expressing attraction to you, instead everybody gets on board, because as we see in the panelverse, that's sort of the nature of what people want to do, I guess.
Panel sheep.
So
Well, let me fix women's rights here because she obviously didn't hear anything I said. No one on this panel is blaming women for having emotions. You're not going to meet a stronger advocate for emotions than me. I don't blame anybody for their emotions. I think they're natural, and I think people should allow to have any emotions they want without any kind of stigmatization. So that's the opposite of everything I said.
yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing that's interesting about, like, it's not as often that men are approached by women. But if a man, turns a woman down, that's pretty much where it stops with him. It is almost unthinkable that he would, try to like smear her name as part of his no, right, with other men.
He would brag about it. He'd be like, "Hey, this chick asked me out. Can you believe that shit?"
If anything, he'd use it to talk himself up and be like, "Hey, a girl likes me, right? I'm just not into her." And he'd probably even be thinking like, oh, I hope the next guy she asks out likes her. Like, this idea that like he would wish ill on her. I mean, there are some maybe like if he's a genuine asshole, he might think that, but that's the 1% of the population that just is born like that, right? And it's not something that, like, if he was like that around other guys would be like, "What's up with you, dude?" And so he would not be able to leverage it pretty well. It's just when like people say the worst someone can do is say no. Like, no isn't just no; it includes other forms of escalation, really.
And women, real quick, it's women that can't seem to handle me and other men. So it's reverse of this. Like it's each one not being handled the other.
I think it
Because
comes
I don't have
down
a
to
problem with women till they start having a problem with me.
Yeah. So not laws. I'll even tell you a personal experience. So the one girlfriend I have had is not somebody that I tried to date. I cannot emphasize how much I was not attempting anything to start dating this girl. Okay. She started like essentially like working our hangouts into being dates, right? And like doing this sort of like Indiana Jones, like switching the idol with the sax. Now here's the thing: if a guy tries that kind of sneakiness, it is much more likely to be controversial and
It don't work.
embarrassing, right?
It doesn't
Right?
work.
I was not bothered at all by it, right? I was confused, and but like that's the thing. Like, and that's another thing too. It's like the only time there I ran into a girl that I knew wanted to date me. It was somebody I wasn't even trying. It's like we have this weird dynamic where we have to be aloof to be closer to people, and it just makes no sense to me.
I don't know what that is. Like
Oh,
I couldn't do it.
my
If
first
that's
you're,
girlfriend, my
that's
first girlfriend
crazy.
showed up at the house, right? Knocked on my back door. My parents had gone on vacation, and I had just bought my first bong. And the apartment upstairs was empty. I was gonna go smoke up there. First time ever, right? My parents are gone. I'm like, this is great. I take 2 hits off the bong. Someone's ringing the doorbell downstairs. I answer it, and it's this girl from high school. And she asked me if her friend is there. And I'm like, I don't even know her fucking friend. I don't even know you. Like, why would her friend be here? And then I knew what was up after that. And then, like, we sat down and had a cigarette together, and I put my arm around her, and then we started going out. But she came and asked me out, like, on false pretenses. I was thrilled, I was like, she's a good girl, I like her. So,
Mhm.
but that happens once in a lifetime, probably.
Yeah, even it's just happened to me too. Every time I've looked for it, nothing happened.
Yeah,
Every
I like.
relationship I've been in has just happened.
Some people
Exactly.
are talking about like
I,
strong women. Like, my favorite boss I've ever had at a job was a woman. And if you want to talk about somebody who's a strong woman, that is her. But she does things fair. She does not play by different rules where women get to do this and men can't do this. She is one of the fairest people I have ever known. Fair to the point that she will lay down on a wire so someone else can crawl over her. Okay? No male boss I've had is like her. But I struggle to find more examples of her among women I've encountered in my life. It's such a breath of fresh air and relief when I meet someone like her.
I think it's interesting. I think the definition of strong is subjective. So, some people could see me as strong, independent, opinionated, confident. But, take the opposite of me. Take a church going conservative mom who's focused on raising her children and taking care of the household. And, there'd be people out there that would say a woman like me would call that woman weak, but she's not weak. She's just a different kind of strength. right? So her strength is in representing her values and raising her family and, you know, making sure that, you know, if she's going to express her opinion, it has to do with her role as a mom. You know, like she's too busy being a mom to be out arrogantly, confidently stirring up things on the internet, you know? One thing I'd say is the definition of strength is subjective in a woman. And so, you know, there'd be lots of men out there that would say, hey, my wife is really strong. You know, she's down there every week. You know, we get a sitter every week so she can go protest abortion, you know? And then the next thing I would say that I was thinking of as we were having this conversation is, do you think that it comes from societal, like if we had morals that we were willing to agree upon, do you think that we could accept rejection differently? Like if we had a way of going about, like, you don't shame someone for asking you out simply because you're not attracted to them. That's seen as a flaw in you, not a flaw in the person asking you out. Right. Instead, we accept the fact that this kind of behavior from men or women, and I will admit that it is probably more women, you know, it's the experience I've seen in life. You know, I'm not trying to discredit the idea that this is a behavior that has been conditioned or is natural in women more so than men. But it just seems to me like the idea of expressing rejection in a hubris way, like, you know, with so much hubris is it should be shamed, you know, and then it wouldn't be done. So I just think it's something to do with our morals, you know, that
But
allows
those
us.
vary so much across the U.S. I don't think you're going to
Mhm.
have a standardized, like even within the U.S. I don't think you're going to standardize that, much less across Western society.
Mhm.
Yeah. So back to
Yeah.
like what you said, I actually had a recent encounter. It was actually in relation to this stream. So I was sitting in the open panel at a local coffee shop rather than here in my apartment, and um, you know, talking with Jeff about the stuff, and we talked a bit about stocks. We talked a bit about, you know, current events and things in the news. And then when the stream was wrapping up and I was about to go, and I'm putting my things away, this girl comes up to me. Um, you know, maybe a few younger than me, a few years younger than me, right? Like, so kind of close to my age. And she's like, "What were you talking about on there?" Like, my friend and I overheard. Like, she basically kind of like cuts me off, even like as I'm getting my things up to start leaving. And so, um, you know, I'm like, I really don't know what to expect, and but I'm like answering her questions, and she's, you know, she tells me she thought it was interesting. She'd like to learn more about stocks. So I said, okay, we can exchange information, and then if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. And then so we did that, and then later that day or the next day, she texted me and she was like, "Oh, sorry that, you know, I came up on you like that." And I texted back and I was like, "Look, I chose to be in public, and I know that people can approach me in public. It's not a big deal."
What'd she say?
She basically was like, "Yeah, that's true, but still, I just wanted to make sure."
Are y'all
You know,
still
it's just
talking?
I have not heard from her since then. So
Oh,
whatever she had in mind about what she wanted to discuss, she either has forgotten about it or hasn't
or
figured out
Mm.
was
what
it
she
about
wants
that?
to do. I don't know. She came up to me. She wanted to learn more about it, and we'll see if she ever follows up. Right. So it's balls in her court on that.
So to speak.
Yeah.
Maybe literally. You don't know yet.
So
Yeah.
I just you know, like, I think it's like you said, Jeff, you know, when you're not looking for shit, that's when it happens, you know.
Yeah.
It's like if you're interested, they're not going to respond, it seems, almost because they know that they have you in the bag, you know.
Oh, I've had that happen before too. When there's no challenge, they lose
Right.
interest. If it's
Right.
too easy.
And there was this girl that I was pining for in high school, and I saw a picture of her recently. I just decided to look her up to see, you know, what happened to her. And man, I'm glad that I didn't go out with her.
Uh,
Although you never know how someone might have turned out to look if they had dated someone. Like, I'm just
that's
saying,
true.
people can
She might
really,
look
yeah,
totally
life,
different
yeah,
if she'd ended up
you
with
know.
you.
It might be your fault. It's your fault, Zach. She looks
Yes.
like that.
You could have saved her from that.
I tried to get her to go out with me, and she wouldn't. She refused, and she wanted to go out with this fucking football player who already had like 2 girls pregnant at another school. That's what she wanted, was that
Like
guy.
she knew this and that was still
Yeah.
attractive to her? Wow.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck is wrong
Yeah,
with
explain that one, women out there.
So shameless. I want to point out, like, what you're saying into not laws is correct. Like, the complaints that men make online about frustrations in their social lives. This isn't even a dating thing. If you want to be friends with a woman, she will still reject you as if you're asking her out, because in her head that's what you're doing. And you know, in some cases, the rejection comes with shaming you with other people, and we experience it in real life. But obviously, we don't often like make a scene of it in real life because we don't want to get arrested or pepper sprayed, right? So, you know, we mention it online. We remember it. We talk about it with folks who are talking about this stuff. You know, whether it's complaining, whether it's, you know, problem solving, trying to work on social strategies. I mean, whatever the
So he
context.
thinks we're just making it up, like it doesn't
thinks we're-
happen in real life, and we're coming on
Like
here
I'm talking
complaining
about
about
shit that has
something.
happened to me. Like
Yeah.
I have seen how women become less comfortable around me, and then other women near them become less comfortable with me. If I had been more friendly and we'll say forward, right? Like, so not necessarily acting them out, but asking them out, but just more willing to strike up a conversation. You know, ask them how they're doing, check in, like, you know, how's your dog? You know, shit like that. You'd think that would just be nice. That's showing like you're you know, genuinely interested in them as a person, and they see it a different way. They have made up their mind that it's something else. And you know, I do that with guys. No second guessing, no mind reading,
No, I would just think
no
you're
faux pas.
friendly. You're being a
Yeah.
friendly person.
So you know, it's like, it's not that we're making it up. Like, my life would go very differently. Like, I would have so much more money. So many doors of my life would have opened if people just responded better to some things across several instances of my life. So it's like, yeah, and really, I see not less like, I don't know why you pretend to know what happens in people's lives. You know, like really, who the fuck are you? Have you been following me around for the last 10 years?
Oh, he
Well,
lives
this
on
is
the
what-
internet. He's always on the internet.
What I would say too is like the idea of complaining being something someone would shame someone for is like taking away a piece of being human. You know, there's nothing wrong with complaining. You know, if you're complaining for 10 years about the same thing and you're not doing anything to try and change your life, you know, then obviously there can come a point where you're going to lose audience. You know, I've tried to counsel friends, you know, in relationships that they struggle in. I'm never one, people shouldn't take relationship advice from a single person, so I don't usually. But you know, especially you know, I really don't, right? So, but in situations where you've listened to your friend talk about bitching about her lover or boyfriend, there comes a point where you're like, dude, I don't want to hear this anymore, right? Like, whether you're trying to help or not, you're just like, look, how many years can I listen to you say this stuff, you know, without understanding? Like, you just want to complain, you don't want to you don't want to change anything. So, you know, I would say, like, what I would say is it's more about time. So Joe expressed that he was in a coffee shop on a panel and was approached and talked to. You know, if people are spending the majority of their time online discussing or quote unquote complaining about their relationship plight, and they're not investing any time in trying to have one because they're too jaded and they want to talk about their complaints instead, then that's where they can get caught in a loop of, I'm no longer, you know, I'm just stuck complaining, you know? So what I'm trying to say is there is a point where you could say, hey, dude, if you really want a relationship, get off these panels and go and start investing some time in finding one. But in essence, you know, it's like people saying people get in their emotions or complain too much. All emotions, all expressions, they're all human. You know, to be disappointed in someone, to be complaining about something, it's all human and it's all acceptable. And there's nothing wrong with complaining. You don't want to hear someone complain, just change the channel, leave the room, you know?
Yeah, that's a
Um,
good point.
you know, it's and not that I'm telling not laws to leave. That wasn't me talking to not laws.
He's not gonna
I'm just
leave.
yeah. Yeah.
No,
I'm just
I'm
saying that
just
in
kidding.
general. Yeah.
He's kind of our resident Canadian lefty now.
Have you asked one if
Not
you
He's
could
our
lie down on
wokester.
top of her? What does that mean? I don't know what that question means.
Not Laws is somewhat of a prankster himself. Be careful, because he'll lure you into side trails and rabbit holes.
I'm picking up on some of his humor. I've seen it a bit. So he sort of oscillates between like
A
a
pest
sincere
and a
critique
nuisance.
and a joke. Yeah.
And a jester.
I'm
And a
just
trickster.
Yeah.
I'm imagining someone asking to lay down on top of me but not do anything, right? Just like suddenly you're just
Hey,
like,
ma'am, would you
okay,
like?
and now you're laying on the
Could I lay
ground,
down on
someone
top of
fully
you?
clothed, just laying
could-
on top of you, and
Yeah.
they're like, thanks.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
that's
try
funny.
that.
Can
Lay
I
on
can I
top of
beat
each
you
other.
with a pair of tennis shoes, Bex?
Can you what?
Can I beat you with a pair of tennis shoes?
Can you beat me with a pair of tennis shoes? Sure. Why not?
Awesome. Let's go.
Especially pixelated me can handle it, no problem.
Well, the shoes will probably be pixelated too. So everything's
Exactly.
pixelated here.
Exactly.
No, it's
Yeah.
actually a line from a Frank Zappa song that no one has ever heard.
Is it from Freak Out?
No. He's talking. It's in from the movie 200 Motels. I don't think you've seen that movie, but you would probably get a kick out of it.
No, never heard of it. Let me look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you
it's
guys want an
Frank
example
Zappa's
of
motion picture.
so I just thought of something. If you guys want an example of interactions with women that tend to go well, I found that when they are older women, they are a lot less guarded around me. And so if I want to be friendly and nice to them, I don't. It's not much different than with a dude like who might be my age, or younger. And so
Yeah,
I actually
sure.
have this friend who is she's a 69-year-old woman. I met her at Starbucks when I used to work there, and she and I will go out and still get coffee and catch up and just be friends. And it's pretty nice. Actually, old people can actually be decent to hang out with if you have an
I
open
love
mind
old
about that.
Hey, watch that old people stuff.
I love old people. I could hang out with old people all day.
Dude, not to be rude, but you and I are old people.
Yeah, I was just
Stop.
gonna say I think I am old people now.
Not with Chuck here.
I'm old to some people now.
We have our
I'm still
elder
a young person
buffer.
to some, but I'm old to some now as well. So it's an interesting.
What's
How old
up,
are you,
Chuck?
Joe?
By the way, good to see you.
Yep, y'all are some young bucks. You don't know what old is yet.
I'm gonna be 55, man. Like soon.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
Well, you're
Yep,
about
I'll
10
be
years
52
behind.
soon.
Beck, did you ask my age? I don't know if I
Yeah,
heard you ask
yeah.
me
If it's not overstepping.
that. No, but it's always fun to see what people think. So
You
what's
look
your
like you're
guess?
27 or 28.
I'm thinking
See.
34 ish.
Yeah, I would say because he said he's not so young anymore, I would definitely put him in his 30s, and then even say over 35 just because of that statement, not because of what I
Okay.
see in you.
All right. So we got a range of 27 to over 35. Very interesting. I'm 32.
32.
Bingo.
Mhm.
See.
I win the door prize.
Yep, you have that perspective.
Mhm. Oh, it's
I
interesting.
get
Like
worse
I'm.
at telling people's age as I get older. I can't
Same.
tell age at all anymore.
Yeah, that's a thing I've noticed is that like some people think I'm like might even be a college student, but they're much more
Yeah.
likely to be people in their 70s and 80s when they ask me that. Now, interestingly, as I've been hanging out more and doing things on the UNC campus, some of the college students have also thought that I'm a college student. So maybe I just took good care of my skin or something. I don't know.
Not enough smoking.
Yeah,
Too much
Hey,
soy.
Plasma.
definitely.
Yeah, Jeff, you better be careful with the terms of service here. If we have a minor up here,
Oh, dude, man, that's I will say that is one thing about like hanging out and like sort of venturing into Discord communities is when like suddenly they're like minors like chatting with you or hop in the
Thank
same
you.
voice chat,
They not supposed to
and
be in there.
you're just like, it's so disarming. You're like, how should I talk around this person,
I
right?
know.
And
Yep.
I
I
made
hate
an
it so much.
exception for Dolbez. He was my first guest, and he
Well,
was
he's not a
17 at the
kid
time.
though.
And I had that fear, but then it was Dolbez, so like I'm like, oh, I don't have to worry about him. It's fine. But I don't
He's
know if like I would
older.
take that chance on any 17-year-old.
Dolbez is beyond his age.
Yeah, and he was Norwegian, so I said he probably doesn't. It's a different country. I don't have to worry
Yeah,
about
you can't
his
get
In
you
laws.
can't
Norway,
get arrested.
in Norway, you might be a legal adult at 16. Who knows? Some of the European
You,
countries, that's true. You can vote at 16 and everything.
you remember
That's
that
their age of
young
majority.
kid from the UK, Jeff? The heavyset kid that popped up?
There's been
He
no.
kept flashing you the finger because you wouldn't let him up.
Was it Joshua?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, he's never been on my panel. I've seen him on other people's panels.
Oh,
He
I
kind
thought
of
he
disappeared.
showed
Huh?
up here once.
Yeah, he tried to get backstage, but I didn't let him on.
That kid, he was definitely underage.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what he was. Like, I couldn't tell what gender, age, anything that he was.
Hey,
So
Jeff, can I just
Shameless.
ask
Are you still
one of
there?
your chat members a question?
Yeah.
I think Jeremy was the one that was asking me to learn that song "Lady" by that band Stardust, I guess is their name or whatever. I've been trying to learn it, but they're fucking with me because it's like there's two versions of it. The guy is so weirdly out of tune on that song that nobody knows which the correct version is.
Look at women hyperventilating here.
Do you
Oh my God,
remember
let's get her more. Let's give her what she came for.
Oh
I
boy.
think women's
Hallelujah?
rights is trolling. It's just
Of
like
course she is, but that's what they
like
do. She probably from that Q
80%
community.
80% are just jokes. Like
Women,
it's
it's
pretty good
actually
at
on
women.
stream. Just Google Dobez. It's the and then go pick the first one with his name. It's the very first guest that I had on this channel when I started doing panels.
Like
So
I
you can
think
go
women's
see
rights
it
has actually
yourself.
been
You can even go
advocating well.
report
Yeah.
it to whatever authorities you need to report it to.
Oh, I found you from Jamie.
Oh, really? Oh, Spit
Yeah,
Cup?
yeah.
Hey, Zach, you remember that song Hallelujah by Cohen?
Yeah.
hmm
Back when he originally wrote that song, and the the kid that did this song is dead. What's his name? Uh, oh, God, he died. I can't remember what his name is. You guys should know who it is.
The kid.
The-
You said the kid. That's what's throwing me.
well,
Hang on.
everybody's a kid to me. The
Right.
young man that came out with the Hallelujah in the recent past that started the craze of the song again. But when
Oh,
he
I
got a
There's
just
hold
that.
of when he
Oh, go
got a
ahead.
hold of Cohen to see if he could do that song, he asked him if he'd send him the verses. He had actually written 80 verses to that song.
yikes.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of
So,
different versions of it.
yes, because he had written 80, 80 or lines. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so
Because he
like
didn't. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, like so there's like different official versions because he's like he himself has used different like
Mm-hmm.
mix-ups of the verses.
Yep.
Owen Benjamin even used it.
Yeah,
They
I'm
used.
looking for the guy who died.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what was
like
it? Jeff Blake or something
yeah,
like that?
Buckley, I think.
Oh, yeah, there you
Well,
go.
he's not a kid. He's from the '70s. That's what's throwing me. I'm,
Jeff Buckley.
I'm looking
Isn't he
for
the
like new
blind?
kids on the block or something.
Well, he
Isn't
was
that the
like a kid
blind
when I died.
guitarist? Was he the blind guitarist that was in Roadhouse? Jeff Buckley.
Mm, I don't think so. Could be wrong. I didn't think he was blind.
I get him confused with
I don't
Tim
know.
Buckley too.
Yeah, it was.
Timbuktu.
I think it
Tim
was
Buckley.
Jeff
Tim
Buckley.
Buckley.
But yeah, I can remember that. You get an album, and the song on the album is not what was played on the radio. There was two different versions a lot
Not
of
Laws. Are
times.
you serious? No, I feel bad now. I was punching down this old man the whole time. I think he's
Well,
fucking. I think that's another
you
Lucy in the
ought to. He's
football.
Canadian. He's got too much maple syrup in his
Yes,
system.
absolutely, I am. It's all on video. You go watch it yourself. I'm excusing every bit of it. We had a great conversation. We talked about death, immortality,
That's an
terror management
intelligent
theory.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah, women's rights
Yeah,
is
you
a
should
thing, totally.
leave. Woman right, women's rights. You
Woman.
should go
Okay,
advocate on some other channel. Bye.
this isn't
Wow.
necessarily funny, but it's crazy. Jeff Buckley, the person I'm talking about, the guitar player, he died in 1997 as a result of a strange accident. He drowned in the Wolf River while singing Led Zeppelin's "Whole Lot of Love" as the wake of a tugboat took him under. His death was a tragedy in the music industry.
Oh boy.
Jesus Christ. You're in the middle of
Wow.
singing a whole lot of love and then you get pulled under by a tugboat.
What the hell are you doing out with a tugboat?
I don't know. He must have not have had a lot of fans. He had to perform on the river.
My God, go sing to the frogs.
That's what people do sometimes. They just get on a boat and start, fooling around.
Mm-hmm.
That's not. Yeah,
Especially
that's kind of cool to do.
especially
Just
people
take
who
off
have
in a
more money
canoe.
than they know what to do with.
They get bored. I
Right.
can remember
Yeah.
what I can remember watching that interview with Rock Hudson, and he talked about how he got bored with women because he had so many of them throwing themselves at him. That's why he decided to turn to the male side for the
Hmm.
intimacy as opposed to the sexual.
Right. If you want intimacy, go to other men.
Well, I guess when you're getting it too much of a good thing thrown at you, I don't know. But I'll give it a try
You
and
want
let you know
intimacy?
how it
Go to
turns out.
intimacy.com. Oh, my signal's going down.
Yeah, I had that problem earlier. My signal was bouncing all over the place.
That's one of the things that I think I've witnessed online more than anything else, and maybe even made some pretty general, extreme statements about it. Intimacy tends to be substituted with sex.
Yes.
I think many men do have more intimate relationships with the men around them than they do with women.
Mm-hmm.
I,
And I think
I
that
would
it's actually
agree.
gotten to the point where some straight men define themselves as straight simply because they have sex with women, and they actually seek out everything else they seek out is from their male companions.
I think that
So
used to be more common, but back in the day, like 200, 300 years ago. Um, I think men tended to have much more intimate friendships with men, and then their wives were just who give them children, right?
Concubine.
well,
Yep.
I would,
They would go to
it's
the
been
men's
painted that
club
way
like
to
in
us.
the Twilight Zone. They'd go
Mhm.
to the British men's club. Hello, old chap. How are you? And
Yeah.
But
and they'd
it's
have drinks
Their
and play
emotional
cards.
relationships with other men. And the gay men do that too. Like a lot of their emotional relationships are with their female friends and their sexual relationships with their boyfriends.
Mhm.
I think it's been painted that way. Like we can look at the past like it was like that. But I think that actually it likely is the case that it sort of is, and it is instinctual. It actually,
Yeah.
instinctual to have that kind of camaraderie with men. And then I would take it even further to say, when we look at the sexual needs and the way sex has been presented biologically to us, as a straight woman, like I can't attest to what happens, with men on men, and how they
I
claim
can.
whether they're gay, or whether they're a man who might engage in sexual activities with men who don't consider themselves gay.
Would
Because
that be
that's the
bi?
case too. Well, it would be by our definitions, but I know that some men, it's the same thing that has,
I
to
can't
some
see
people.
doing anything sexual if you're not attracted. Like, who's going to waste their time getting sexually involved in something that doesn't turn them on?
Well, yeah,
lot
and
of
that's why I would
people-
say, but
Let's ask this
some
guy.
men, yeah,
A
someone
very
socialized.
professional person. That's who, Jeff. A very professional
Oh,
person.
oh, right, yeah. And there's some, yeah, okay. There's,
I
yeah.
gotta drop
Oh,
Well, and
some.
people,
are we gonna
men have been
start this
socialized to
now?
see gay as shame.
Oh.
A lot of men have been socialized to see gayness as
Why
What's
you
up,
shame,
got
Moose?
right?
Talcott
shameful.
on your
Not if you're
avatar?
a top.
Hmm. It's true.
You trying to set me off, Moose?
He's trolling.
I think
Yep.
just the fact that you can stick boobs on a man's body and men are like, "Woo, she's lady," you know, shows that there's a natural instinct for men to not, you know, like,
Yeah.
Maybe more men are gay than they're willing to admit compared to women.
yeah, or maybe men's
I
sexuality.
think
is,
I'm
you know,
coming around to that perspective after doing these streams.
What? No
At
way.
least emotionally.
mhm.
I do think it's more likely for women to be bisexual than men, but I still think it's possible that the actual number of men who may be queer in some way is
Well,
understated because men are ashamed to come out and say it.
Really?
Well,
Even
exactly.
like
about it.
even in this day and age.
If you're watching a porno,
Mhm.
you're not just watching a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it.
Yep. I was going to say too that
Chuck,
AIDS Vancouver,
if you
AIDS
watch a
Vancouver,
woman touching herself, you're not watching a dude touch her. So stop that
Right.
shit.
Because even when
I
I
was
watch
just,
straight porn, it's not the woman that I could tune her out.
I was just going to
Wow.
say that the AIDS Vancouver Island mandate statement back in the late 90s here, it expressed a target market, let's say, and I don't mean to use that term, you know, like they were selling something, but I'm just saying they expressed their target
Oh, I
audience.
thought you meant
And
Target.
the beginning started out with like who they service, who their clients are, who they want to help, right? So it starts out with gay men, you know, intravenous drug users, hemophiliacs, blah, 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 blah. And it ends with men who have sex with men.
Yeah, that's an
So,
actual term.
yeah. So there is, and that's because there's men who have sex with men who just are, can't call themselves gay.
Yep.
They
They're on
won't.
Craigslist back when they used
And
to have
yeah,
all that.
and those are, and some of those men are the men who would gladly date a passing
A trap.
intersex or trans person, you know? So, and again, I want to be clear that none of this, any of my observations, I'm not shaming anything. So even back when whatever I said before, I want people to say, I'm just expressing
No,
an
you're not
observation.
responsible for anyone's emotions.
Yeah.
Well,
And,
hell,
and
look at
yeah,
Eddie
just-
Murphy. Eddie
I have no
Murphy had a
problem with-
thing for the trans women.
What happened
Mhm.
to Eddie?
He used to go out trolling, picking up transsexuals.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what
Wow.
kind of put him on the back burner for a while.
Oh.
Was when he got caught doing that.
Poor Eddie.
Moose, what's up? Oh, maybe he's cooking. He puts us
Let
on in the
him cook.
background sometimes.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm over here like vacuuming and I'm about to mow the lawn and
Oh,
stuff.
men doing chores. We forgot to do our stream on that. We're gonna have all the guys come on stream and do chores live.
Look at what
Oh, that
happened
would
to
be-
Moose. The feminization of men has to stop.
That
The
would
fuck
be
are
me
you talking
too.
about feminization? I like to clean up my area, man. If cause I do a lot of like indoor gardening and stuff, so like it makes a mess, and
That's
I like
manly.
to tidy up. I mean,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
that's
that's
right.
manly.
Cleaning up after your indoor gardening is legit. It's a legitimate manly activity.
No.
Yeah, I know
Indoor-
somebody who
Chuck,
Indoor
don't be a
gardening.
horse's ass.
yeah, I know somebody who would agree. Let me go get him.
Uh-oh. What's coming?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Lord.
so that's true. You need to clean up your room, and then after that,
Ah!
go clean up your yard.
We actually
you have-
have.
You
Yeah,
have a
where's
beautiful
Rowan?
room and a beautiful yard. That's powerful, man.
His voice got a little light.
You never
there.
see Mr. Miyagi?
Wipe on, wipe off from Karate Kid.
His shit was clean as it gets, dude.
Yeah, we could have all used I think there's those that grew up with the Mr. Miyagi in their lives and those who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones that end up here. Except for Joe. He seems like he had a Miyagi. Or
I
at
had my
least an
father.
inner one.
Yeah, yeah. I think Daniel LaRusso, the character, his father's not around, so Miyagi is sort of like his male role model in place of his
Yeah,
father,
see,
right?
that was all. We had that in the 80s. That was cool. They
Mhm.
had movies like that because it was a need.
Yeah, I've noticed there aren't quite as many movies where um that focus on like the positive male relationship like that. So there was the male role model, and then there were in the 80s especially, it was the buddy movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like if you
Bromance.
want to watch
Yep.
a buddy movie, like now, like so let's go watch a buddy movie. You're gonna have to find one probably from the 80s. Um,
What?
yeah, like they just don't make
Let
those as
me.
much
Let
anymore.
me Google. Let's see.
When was the last time a buddy movie got made? Like other than Shrek, right?
Let's see.
Animated cartoon.
What's the definition of a buddy movie?
A buddy movie is any movie where whatever the plot is, it follows two male leads where their friendship is like the main idea of the movie. So like whatever the context is. So a lot of buddy movies would be like these sort of these crime action flicks, right? So like Lethal Weapon, um, or like if you think like Rush Hour, you know, with Chris Tucker and
Yep.
Jackie Chan, those are buddy
48
movies.
hours.
Yeah, and
One.
so they have like other things that go on, like they have some sort of career quest they're on. Maybe they one or both of them also have like a romantic interest, but the most important relationship is that between the men.
The
Their
friendship.
Is
emotional
Yeah.
yeah
is
bond is
Wedding
more important.
Crashers a buddy movie? Would Wedding Crashers be a buddy movie?
I have not seen Wedding Crashers, so I do not know.
It does follow two male leads, although they do quite quickly have females with
Oh,
them.
Pineapple
You
Express.
know,
I forgot all about that one.
Brokeback Mountain.
Of sorts, I guess.
oh, that's
Never
such a
seen it.
tragic love
Saturday
story.
night.
They
Yes,
just
sir.
cut
I've
the woman
never-
out completely.
I've never seen it.
Bro, so
I tried.
Brokeback
Me and
Mountain
Mid Barnabas were gonna do a stream on it, but I couldn't make it through the movie.
it took it to
What?
new bro. Did that take Buddy to new levels? Did that take Buddy?
It was a good movie. For personal reasons, I could not make it through the movie. I had a situation too close to what I could tell the movie was leading up to.
Yeah,
hit
it's
home,
a tragic. It really is a tragic love story. It's beautiful and tragic. It really was very well done.
Oh, it's
Is
tragic.
Wolf's
all right.
modern, Jeremy? Is it good? They do those like spoof movies, like Will Ferrell and like where the men are buffoons.
They are
so-
buffoons.
According
Step
to the
Brothers.
Wikipedia article on buddy films, it says a buddy film portrays the pairing of two people, often the same sex, frequently men. A friendship between the two people is the key relationship in a buddy film. The two people often come from different backgrounds or have different personalities, and they tend to misunderstand one another. Through the events of the buddy film, they gain a stronger friendship and mutual respect.
It's
Buddy
the Don
films-
Quixote paradigm.
Kinda, yeah. Buddy films often deal with crises of masculinity. American Masculinity's Historical Encyclopedia explains, buddy films offer male moviegoing audiences an opportunity to indulge in a form of male bonding and behavior
Buddy
usually
films sound
discouraged
so
by
fucking
social
gay.
constraints. Well, that's sort of like what the sentence here is saying. Buddy films offer male movie-going audiences an opportunity to indulge in a form of male bonding and behavior, usually discouraged by social norms. Ira Konigsberg wrote in the Complete Film Dictionary, such films extol the virtues of male comradeship and relegate male-female relationships to a subsidiary position.
Oh, so that's why it got under attack. It was taking the spotlight from the women's.
Why aren't we getting attention anymore? This is wrong. Women need
But
more
like
representation.
all the straight men I knew had their buddies. Like they had their running buddies, their pack.
Mhm.
They had their bros. So I don't think it was just in movies, at least in my culture. Like that buddy relationships were a real actual thing too.
Well, maybe the movies are reflecting like what was the trend, right?
Yeah, maybe so. But I come from a more masculinized culture, so buddy relationships are like some of the cornerstones of that society. It's how men get things done and keep the society
Yeah,
running.
and now when men get together and do things. It's called the manosphere, right? And they're called men's rights activists and stuff like that. And it's made out to be more than it really is.
This channel is one of the. It's a Manosphere channel.
See, exactly.
Oh, okay. I might keep an eye out for that.
It's natural though. I would say this concept of manosphere, considering there was no masculinism movement with the feminine, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it makes sense that there would be a place for this, a voice for it, and that there would be extreme views being offered that at least some people find extreme, right? I mean, feminism was super extreme. There's studies that show. There was a study out of Harvard. I'd have to find it. My source is trusted. Old sort of uncle figure in my life. But there's studies out of Harvard that show that when women's studies first came around in university, that the graduates of women's studies became literally unteachable in other subjects.
And remains so today.
And you can kind of see that because I would say that the feminism movement turned into the it formed the basis of some of this intersectionality, some of this virtue signaling behavior of non-virtuous people. At the core of it is goodness, but some people display those behaviors to uplift and aggrandize themselves, not because they actually care about the people that they're talking about, so anyways, I think the manosphere is a natural. Yeah, I appreciate that the manosphere exists. I even appreciate that some people on the extreme end of the manosphere are like, shut up, woman, we don't care what you're saying. It's fine. That's what they've put up with their entire lives from this feminist movement that's been put in our minds, so to me, it's a natural pendulum swing. And it's safe because if women have been conditioned to think men are violent or be scared of them, or even men have been conditioned to think that women think that about them, then why wouldn't it be online that the safety of behind the screens men express themselves? It logically makes sense to me. So that being said, echo chambers on any topic exist online, and they can cause anyone to start thinking very extremely, So it's important to try and get back out into see examples that are at least adversarial to whatever echo chamber you're in, to either reinforce you're in the right place or that some things have become a little bit extreme.
Yeah, agreed. I don't have much to add, but yeah.
So
Not Law says, I love the manosphere. Men who listen to that dribble ain't going to procreate.
not everyone should
Yeah,
procreate,
Perhaps not.
I think it's social media to blame for people's interactions with one another anymore. Because I don't remember all the vitriol when before social media when people met in real life. They get on the screen and it's just pure, like Bexa said, you can find an echo chamber and blow your cork and nobody has a clue who you are in real life.
Yeah,
It's being
I think
fake
that's
and
it.
phony. Yeah. Nobody wants to do real. Everybody wants to get in the fantasy world, for lack of a better term to call it.
Well, we are in the digital age, the cyber age.
Yeah, I can remember back in the
I wonder,
'60s when they were predicting there was going to be a telephone that you could see the other person on the other end as she was talking about it, and how much people laughed at that it was actually going to happen. Look at us now.
Yeah, we're gonna have holograms. We're all gonna be interacting in holograms.
And then people are
Yep.
going to dress up like Emperor Palpatine so that they look like that in the hologram.
Hey, Abe, how you doing? Oh Lord, I don't even know what that is. Yeah, I don't need the panelverse to be any more real than this. I don't need all of you in my living room in 3D.
Yeah, let's do that VR panel verse.
No.
Oh my God.
Well, welcome here. Look who's here. Good to
You
see
guys
you.
can watch me do pull-ups while we talk about stuff through my VR avatar. That way I'm not just
Uh-huh.
sitting in my chair, I'm being active.
Uh-huh. Yeah, VR is dangerous. You can't figure
No,
out what the hell you're doing. I broke a TV once using a VR headset.
was it the Wii?
No, it was some Oculens or something like that.
Oh,
I
Oculus?
was, yeah, it might be that. I was playing a Star Wars game and accidentally attacked the TV.
Was it with the controller or with your fist?
Well, it was a lightsaber that came with it. It was an actual lightsaber that had motion controls in it or motion sensors.
Oh, and you hit the TV with it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the TV
that's.
lost. That was the end of my VR career.
Oh.
VR career. I bet there are people who actually are like doing VR careers. Like that's a thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's
Hey
a
Jeff,
I
you
fact.
have
should
a
get more
friend that was
clients.
working on a VR novel. He was writing it out as like a graphic novel, and then he was going to recreate it in virtual reality as a story
Oh,
that you
you like go
participate in.
inside it and then you
Yeah,
watch the story happen around you?
yeah.
That would be so fucking cool. That'd be like
Fifty
a really
So
Shades
for
of
good
people
Grey.
like
that
amusement park
medium
ride.
speaks to, they're doing like all kind of creative things with it. I don't think that it's just like the general public is there yet, or maybe ever will be.
Jeff, what you should
I
do is you should get more clients through VR and you sit with them and do your counseling coaching
That's just what I
sessions.
need. I'm supposed to help them heal from trauma, not create more trauma.
No, just do a very friendly looking cartoon version of yourself, right? With
With
very soft
antlers,
lines.
a
Yeah.
friendly deer, satanic
Hmm.
deer.
You guys know 3D, right? With the 3D glasses and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, like the 3D
I can
movies.
I can't see 3D.
Yeah, I
I
never enjoyed that experience
my
much.
left and right eye see separate, so
Oh,
3D doesn't work. All I see is a bunch of blur. But I'll sit through it for the kids.
Can people actually like gamble in PokerStars VR?
I'm surprised you're here,
I think
not there.
so.
That's what we're competing with, and we're winning. Wow,
Hmm.
Finny.
Make trauma great again. Wow. Hey, that's
Trauma
that's the Democrats running slogan.
Mata versus MAGA.
Hmm.
make trauma great again. Oh Lord.
What are the things the Democrats have said, like "Make America Kind Again" and things like that?
Make America safe again because they want a police platform, like Twitter files all over again. They want more
Hmm.
of that.
RFK Jr. had a really good one, "Make America Healthy Again." What a great way to tie it into the
Make America
Trump
fun
messaging.
again. MAFA. We're not
Yeah.
having fun. We're not laughing with each other.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we're making kids into grown ups without letting them enjoy being a kid.
Yeah. Like the 80s were fun. Like America was just all having fun together, watching the same shows and same music and everything. It was just fun. And then the 90s got all angsty. And now
Yeah, I can
everybody's
remember.
just bitter and miserable.
Yeah, I can remember when MTV was nothing but music videos, and now what
Yeah.
is it? Reality shows or something like that.
If even that.
Yeah,
I
There was
know
a
we
really good show on MTV like 20 years ago called Clone High, a one season animated show. Very, very funny.
leggy.
What's
What's up?
going on? How are you?
Hey, what's up? We're talking about MTV, I guess, or music videos right now. How you doing?
Good. Just get off the boat.
Oh, you just got off the boat? Fresh off
Yeah.
the boat.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yeah, I just got
look
off
at
the
you.
big old banana boat.
You are a troll, sir.
Who?
Come on.
Oh, I haven't changed it from the other day. I haven't changed it from the
Oh.
other day.
Oh, I thought you just added that just now.
No,
Okay.
no, that was the other
What?
day. That was from the other day.
I missed
But
it.
we'll
Why?
go with it. Why not?
What's
There
trolly
was
about
a
a blue
whole
M&M?
Eminem drama, and with no need to even resurrect it. But it was a
Yeah,
blue
yeah,
I
yeah.
just
As
see the
in
M&M
the
blue
troll.
M.
candy? The
Oh, wait.
candy you talking about? M&M's?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
blue M&Ms.
I made a joke and someone got offended by the joke.
How
And
dare
I
you
said they
do
were
that?
making me hungry because their avatar looked like a blue M&M. And then when they turned the camera back on, I seen the face. I said, "Oh, thank you for not making me hungry," but they took it as an insult.
Oh, I got you.
It wasn't supposed to be an insult. It wasn't even meant to be trolling, but
Right.
that
Sometimes
Wait,
it
I think I
like
heard this
people
before.
are like sometimes they just take things certain ways. It
they
happens
do.
with a
But
lot
it
of
took,
people.
but it became trolling after I realized it bothered him.
Yeah, that you kept pushing it. That's when it became trolling. And he's
Well,
like,
I
"Oh, a
mean,
button.
if
Let me
something
keep
bothers you,
pushing it."
of course, depending on what it is. If I think it's fucking something stupid, and most people generally think that it's a
Yeah.
stupid reason to get all pissy about, of course, I'm going to double down on it.
Yeah. Well, that's where the trolling begins. So yeah, you're right, Bex. We do all have troll, and it's where that
Mm-hmm.
line is.
Good thing about Bex, I've always enjoyed her stuff she put out usually.
Yeah, me too. I didn't realize this, but Bex and I figured out that we both came to the Panelverse about the same time. I thought she was way more established. Take care, Joe.
Oh,
Good to have you.
she was fairly new if I remember
Yeah, I didn't
right.
realize she was like we're both newbies at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And they ran her through the ringer initially. She
That's
didn't
what I
know which
heard.
way was up. I
Yeah, they
remember
did,
that.
Jeff. But now they gave me the power that I can go into one room and drop an emoji, a yawn emoji or a gorilla emoji, and watch the whole room spiral for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Did you see what Bex did?
Rich, and I appreciate your good sported nature, Chuck, because we actually haven't been on panels since I had a panel and was on somebody else's channel, where they were
Correct.
leaning in on you. And I think that one thing that I don't really come online to say is I think that, people who have a good sense of self or a good sense of me will see, I know that sitting with people can be seen as complicit, but also I think it's important for people to see what I don't say, so I'm not saying I'm innocent. I'm sure I edged in order to get some humor out of it, but I've never meant any ill will towards you at all, Chuck. I have no issue with you,
Uh, I
and
don't ever remember us having any ill will towards one another.
exactly. So, but I had a panel where someone came up as your twin and I let him
Oh,
sit on
yes,
panel,
Oh, I know
yes,
who that was
yes,
because they try to come
um,
up on here sometimes.
yeah.
yes,
So,
yes.
and that could be seen. And you and I you had just been in my, my room a couple months earlier saying
Right,
thanks for
right.
taking up for me, but I also know that there is a level of drama out here in the panelverse that people want. Right. So, and that's part of what's happened. I've
Well,
got in trouble recently by that same person for not taking up for them when somebody else was talking about them on panel.
Oh my
I
And that's why
I
God.
got
I
They
walked
need
I
away
to.
from the
got
whole thing. Because I was like,
I
no,
got
dude, you don't know how the internet works if you think I'm supposed to protect you from a man on a panel you're not on.
I got no problem with people trolling and digging and poking and all that. But when you go outside the realm of the person sitting there and try to involve family members, let's say,
Yes, there are
in
lines.
children, yes, I have lines. And he crossed the line. So I have nothing to do
Yeah,
with him anymore.
yeah,
I
And
didn't do
and
anything to
after
him.
he crossed that line and I stepped in, he threatened my channel. So
Yes, he did.
I'm in the same position as Chuck.
I just think it's funny to watch. A few days ago, the same person, not even under 36 hours ago, there was a live stream at the end. It was like, I'm going to take some time off. Nobody's listening. The next day, all over Jackson. Now, today live. I think it's funny because I get, I'm not laughing. We all have our own part of addiction. I'm not laughing at that part. I just think it's, it's interesting to actually watch people go through what you saw other people let yourself go through. right? Like
Yep.
a couple months. There's been the person that is sort of the mainstay on that platform now, and I'm speaking vaguely for a reason, right? But the person who's running around all QAnon on that platform, who people were telling me don't give him a platform, not okay. So the zebra optic
Ah, the
now
zebra.
now I understand what people were saying to me because I'm watching it go
How
down
y'all didn't
elsewhere,
see that? Like a
So
blind person could have seen it from space.
um but I also did so
It
many
blows
people had
my
come at
mind that
yeah.
people are like, "Wow, I finally see what people meant about
What do you?
snafu."
But that's where
Whoa,
I would say
hold
from the
on,
outset,
Jeff. Jeff, that's what we're trying to tell you about a certain individual.
Oh,
What we're
But
yeah.
trying to tell
I
yeah,
feel
you,
like it's
sir.
less if you put those two together, like
yeah,
next to each other. It's less obvious with one
Yeah,
than
yeah,
the
for
other.
but
sure.
the one comes over here and he's fake.
Well,
I
I
don't.
want
we.
I'm not taking him as. I'm taking him as. He
Well, and
seems
that's where
consistent enough to me for my purposes.
I remember when a certain individual when Bex was first starting off and she was kind of co co-creating, cohabitating, and the fella turned on her in a heartbeat. And my God, some of the things he said, I have no idea how he dreamt them things up that he was saying.
hmm, I'm
I'm
trying
talking
to
about
think of what.
Benton.
Mm,
Oh, that's easy.
mm.
That's an easy explanation.
And
Oh,
that's
you
the
know,
interesting. Yeah. The
go ahead.
interesting part of all the back and forths I've had online, and as I don't know if people, Benton and I would do response streams to each other at the same time. So you had to be hopping back and forth between them,
Oh,
or you wouldn't have
funny.
seen my response to Benton, right? So,
Yeah,
and that being
it was.
said, I would say as hard as that was for me, there's more similarities in the like. I don't know. There's something about what I learned through Benton that I'm actually very grateful for. You know
Oh, it
that
was a hard lesson, that's for sure.
yeah, but I'm way past that. I enjoy interacting with Benton. I think we have a good back and forth. Uh, and I think that all of this has helped me speak my mind more. So if people
Oh,
want to think, for instance, that I was running around speaking full zebra, putting zebra things up because, dropping zebra emojis because I'm all culted up to the zebra. No, I knew how to troll the people who'd expressed so much hatred towards me. Right. So,
Ah,
that's where I would say that Flo was on to me sooner than anyone else.
oh
I knew
yeah,
what I was
yeah.
doing. I knew what I was doing,
he thinks
you
he's
know,
on to me all the time. That
so,
blows up his
and
face.
yeah, and actually he was the one that called me out on it months later. I had a stream where I said, if anyone wants to come up and hang out for a minute and talk privately after, Flo came up, and this only private conversation I've ever had with Flo, but he called me out on that. And I was so wrapped up in what I'd been doing, I didn't realize how many months had passed since I woke up and realized how to play. And he was right. He was right. I was trolling the masses, giving the zebra a platform.
So many
And
people
willing,
do that. Like that's the
well,
last person I would have. He's just so disruptive to a panel. Like why would someone continually invite that onto their show?
If you can learn how
He's
to
like the
handle that
Tasmanian
type of
devil. He's just
person,
this
yeah.
rabid force of nature that just tears through panel. Like why would someone welcome that? Oh,
He,
he did. Yeah, I heard they had a falling out too.
who's that?
Paul and Snaff.
Oh yeah.
well, overall, even if there's a bit of addictive behavior that I question how it came to be, and look at my own lifelong interactions with people and my need for a different level of socialization that's manifested as some sort of social media addiction, I would still say, like I'm just saying, just taking the bad with the good, this experience online has been one of the most revealing and growing experiences I could have ever immersed myself in.
Same
So
here. Like
It,
you, you face yourself, you learn, and you definitely. I definitely see growth from like 2 years ago from me. This is like grow up boot camp.
Mm-hmm. And I was
Or
mocked. I
not.
was mocked. Yeah,
Not everyone
I was
makes it
mocked
through.
for that. I was mocked for that.
Self
I took
awareness
it.
boot camp.
Yeah. And it is hard. Like to try and replace this with any congregation of people is almost impossible. It is
It's a
impossible.
it's a
Yeah.
whole
Like there's,
different atmosphere
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
between the real life and the
I'm
internet
supposed to
life.
go back home for the holidays, and I'm going to get a taste of having that in person versus panel versus balance. But unless I'm down in Louisiana, I don't ever get that. So I'm going to get to evaluate it. It was very healthy last time I did it. It felt good having both.
That's because it's real.
Yeah, it's a nice balance. Like what I don't get from one, I can get from the other, and then I get the whole package. Oh, like the whole panel versus we're all part of psyops that we don't even know we're part of. I feel honored if they're using me in a psyop. I feel very much optimistic for y'all
Well, just send me a check if
because
I'm
I'm
in
gonna
a
fuck it up
psyop.
somehow.
That's funny, Jeff.
They picked the wrong agent.
We're losing everybody. What happened?
Oh, they're probably just. It's Sunday. People got things to do. But Bex, you want to go finish that show?
Sure can
What's
do.
your afternoon look like?
Just the usual. Watching some shows with you, and maybe watching some shows in other Discord rooms as well when you're busy.
Okay. Well, I have to run out and do a quick little errand, but then after that,
Yeah, me
Okay.
I'm
too.
free most of the day.
Real life,
Well,
sometimes you gotta step out.
How
yeah.
is your situation going, Chuck?
Crazy.
Oh Lord, I figured that's why we hadn't been seeing you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's good. He's focusing on real life. The
Oh
Panoverse will
yeah.
always be
You
here.
you gotta put the pretend away sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. It's good that you do that. That's why he's such an awesome elder. He is leading the way.
You can't take this and bring it into real life, or you're gonna drive yourself into the Talcott syndrome.
Had to get
Um,
it in there.
Yeah,
is that
I had to
show?
just one.
Is it getting better for you though, Chuck? I'm not aware of what's going on for you, but are things
Yeah,
getting better? Yeah.
it's still kind of in the crazy stage. Uh, it's just real life. It's just my kid breaking up in a bad situation, and I'm
Hmm.
helping her out of it, and her and the granddaughter. You know, you're always a dad, so you got to step in and be the logical one to make logical decisions, as
Yeah.
opposed to being emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's very fortunate that she has a dad like that.
Yeah.
Like, because a lot
Yeah.
of people don't get that. That's what makes.
Exactly.
I think dads that are that take it for granted. But those of us that grew up without that, y'all are just so special to us when we see that.
It's so
Oh,
true.
I've seen that growing up. The difference between having a father who would be part of your life as opposed to somebody that just goes to work and then stays out all night, never
Mm-hmm.
sees their kids or doesn't want to be bothered with their kids.
Mm-hmm.
Big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Quick question, Jeff. Is that Summit show on
Oh,
up yet?
that's tonight, I think. Thank you for
Oh,
reminding me.
it's tonight.
It's like
Okay.
coordinated with Big Brother, before or
What
after.
is
Probably after.
Summit?
It's a new reality show, and it's like Survivor, but they're trying to climb the side of this mountain, like Mount Everest or something, like this big snowy mountain. And then on the
Oh
way up,
crap!
they gradually vote people off the mountain as they climb up.
Do they throw them off?
I don't know. I'm waiting to find out. Do they like helicopter them down, or do they have to walk all the way back down? And
Kick them
then
in
they
the
have
ass and
something
watch
where
them?
like everybody has money, and as you vote someone off, you get to take their money, and so the pot keeps piling up as you vote people's money off and take their money.
Oh
So it looks
boy!
like part action series and part competition reality, which I love. That Machiavellianism.
But most of it's so scripted anymore.
Well, those tend not to be so much because they have so much real footage they can just edit. But some of the produced ones, like from Bravo Network and MTV and VH1,
Yeah,
probably
they're
have
staged.
more.
Yeah,
Not so much scripted as produced. Sometimes they refilm
produced. There
scenes.
you go. To get the outcome that they want
Yeah, they're
for
definitely
that.
going for certain storylines and manipulating the plot. And all of them do that to some degree. Some of them just do it more elegantly and realistically than others. At least the editing. Reality TV is all in the art of editing. If you
Exactly.
watch the raw footage, you'd be bored. None of it would be exciting.
Smear a little mud on you here and there, and let's call it real.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll go take care
Yep,
of that.
I got an errand to run too, and y'all have a good day. We might catch up later.
You too,
Yeah,
Chuck.
good
It
to
was
see
great
you.
seeing you.
You
Yeah, good
too,
to see
Bex.
you,
It's
Chuck.
always a pleasure.
Thank you. And thanks for having
You're
me up,
welcome.
Jeff, and I'll see you in Discord.
Okay, I'm gonna go out for like I don't know 20 minutes or so, and then I'll be there. Moose, you
Okay,
still
perfect.
there? You do you want to do your little wrap up? Or
Bye, man.
he might have stepped away, but it's always good to have the Moose on. Catch up with him. Yeah, you too here. Uh, all right, we'll be hanging on Discord. We're finishing up whatever season of The Mole we're on. And a show like The Mole, it's never too late to get in on. Like, you can watch the last few episodes and still enjoy the show. It doesn't really matter how many people are left. The suspense and excitement are still there. And so, and then after tonight is that mountain show, which, depending on how late it is, we might watch tomorrow. All right, take care, everyone, and see you later today, I'm sure. Have a good Sunday, or whatever day it is where you are. And go to hell. Keep raising hell. I like that one even better. Raise hell. All right, take care.